One of the guys at backstage asked me what I was doing tonight, and I was like, oh, I'm telling a story about a time I was rejected. And he was like, you? And I was like, I know. Like, wait, no, is this the acceptance show? Or like the popular show, because I have a lot of stories. But no, actually, I get rejected all of the time because I'm a Mormon, and I'm a practicing Mormon. So when it comes to relationships, because I don't have sex before I'm married, the longest relationship with a guy in New York I've been able to sustain has been 4 weeks. And that's only because he was out of town for 2 of those weeks. So Mormons, you know, are supposed to date other Mormons. And I remember learning this when I was like 12 or 13. They had a youth conference that I went to. And this speaker got up there and he started to speak to us about the dangers of dating outside of our faith. And so he stood up there and he held up a twig. And he said, does anyone think that they can break this twig? And this kid, you know, raised his hand and went up and took the twig and broke it. And then the speaker was like, wait. And he reached down and he pulled out a bundle of twigs. He was like, can you break this bundle of twigs? So the kid, you know, took the bundle and he tried, but he couldn't break it, right? So the speaker held the bundle up triumphantly for all of us, you know, Mormon youth to see, and he was like, so it is with you. If we stick together, all the forces of the adversary combined will not be able to break us. And I remember I was 13, but I was like, what does that have to do with love? Because, like, I'm not a twig. I'm a human being with complex emotions, and when I fall in love, right? And so this was my philosophy, and I moved to New York City, and I dated lots and lots of guys who weren't Mormon. And then I did end up falling in love with an atheist. Yay! And you know, we made it past that 4-week mark, and we decided to keep trying, right? And you know, I was like, you know, I can be okay with this. You know, my soulmate doesn't actually believe in souls, but like, whatever. And you know, but then there was that thing, you know, that, you know, as a Mormon, I don't believe in having sex. And eventually, as a guy, he didn't believe in that. So atheists do have beliefs. So, just kidding. And I mean, I was so aware that the reason that we broke up was because of my faith. And so in this very dark place that I was in, I was like, okay, fine, God, we're making a deal. I'll do what you say. I will date only Mormons. But if I do this, you have to bring me the Mormon man of my dreams, and you have to do it right now. And just so you know, never make a deal with God that he hasn't like verbally agreed to. Don't tell him what the deal is. So anyways, I made this deal, and the next week I got a flyer to the New York Regional Mormon Singles Halloween Dance. And I was like, yes! I'm gonna go to that Halloween dance and I'm gonna meet the one. And by the way, like, if you're Mormon and you live in New York, it's actually not all that hard to meet other Mormons because they organized Mormon single activities. And since you guys don't know what they're like, I'll explain it a little. It's the most painful thing you could ever do. You know, they'll like set up the gym with like generic brand cookies and lemonade like we're a little league soccer team. And like after church, they'll have these things, you know, where they set up food and they'll call it like a linger longer or munch and mingle, or there's the chat and chew. Like, it's all about alliteration. Like, if it was like, come and eat and talk, people would be like, what's that? I can't go. And so, just in case you think I'm making this up, I actually photocopied a flyer to one of these activities I want to show you. So this was last year. And it's the Manhattan Stake Singles Ice Skating Activity. Because if you want to meet someone, you want to meet them ice skating. And so this is the back of the flyer. And these, by the way, this is not a joke, this is for real. This was the front. There's these 2 people ice skating. And it says, I really think I'm falling for this guy. Uh-oh, I really think we're gonna fall. other option that they had? This, okay, it's a woman who's fallen down on the ice for anyone who can't see, and she's saying, "Can someone give me a hand in marriage?" Right, so I don't go to these things ever, but I made this deal with God, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the New York Regional Single Mormons Halloween dance, and I'm gonna meet the one, but in order to do that, I have to have the best costume ever. And so I started to brainstorm, right? And then it like hit me in a flash of light. I was like, oh, I'll be a fortune cookie. And then when you pull out the fortune, it'll say, "You will meet a beautiful woman tonight." At which point I could be like, look no further. Right? So, I mean, I spent hours building this fortune cookie. I bought a beige mattress pad, and I folded it in half, and I hot glue gunned it, and I put wire in it, and then I made the fortune cookie retractable so that every guy could have his own experience. And I put it on, and I mean, it was the best costume I've ever created. And I got on the subway, and I took, you know, the NR uptown. And then I switched to the one train, which I was only supposed to be on for like 2 stops. And right when I walk into the car, I hear this loud voice from across the train. And it's this woman, she's like, "Oh no, 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 no." And I started looking, like I was trying to figure out what was wrong. And then she looks directly at me, and she's like, "I got my children with me! I got my children with me!" And then she starts looking at other people on the train for affirmation. She's like, right? And so I'm totally confused. I'm like maybe she had a bad experience with Chinese food. So I get off the train, and I head up to the Mormon dance, and I get into the lobby, and I push the elevator, and I am just about to go up to this dance when I happen to glance in a full-length mirror, and I was, oh no, 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 no. Something had happened to my costume in the wearing of it. As I was walking, the center had begun to fold in on itself, creating these flesh-tone flaps, so that I did not look like a fortune cookie. I looked like a giant vagina. And like, you can't go to a Mormon dance dressed like a giant vagina. And I fully, like, I had this moment of crisis in the lobby. It's like, what do I, like, do I go? Do I stay? The one is supposed to be up there. And so I took off my vagina, and I put it in the broom closet, which is like every time you go to church, I guess. And I went up to this Mormon dance, and of course, like, at that point, there was no chance of me meeting anyone because I was in such a bad mood. And I remember just sitting in the corner, and I watched this 35-year-old man, who was definitely a virgin, dressed in a duck costume, do the electric slide, and it was like an all-time low. And I realized, I was like, I need to leave, and I need to let go of all of these ideas. Not the Mormon ideas, just this idea that you can force fate. And so on my desk, I have this picture of myself that I had someone take on the subway. And in the picture, I'm like wearing my fortune cookie costume, but it's very clear I'm a vagina, but it's also very clear I don't know yet. And I keep it on my desk to remind myself that if you try to force fate, and if you try to make God do what you say, you will be rejected. Thank you.
This show brings Mormons and Jews together on Rosh Hashanah, talking about giant vaginas. Where else do you get that kind of entertainment?